As I've gotten older, I've come to learn that when I'm feeling emotionally dysregulated, like something has upset me, or when I find myself overthinking and ruminating on a situation or an interaction over and over and over again, the reason I'm doing that is because that interaction or scenario, that circumstance is tied to some deeper level of meaning that I have ascribed to it. And I've come to realize that, if I didn't give that interaction or that person or that scenario or that thing that happened so much meaning in my life, it's attached to a web or a stream of so many delicate and diverse meanings. If I didn't give it that much meaning in my life, then I would be free virtually. I would be able to let go a lot more quickly. So I've come on here to tell you and to tell myself and remind myself that ultimately you control how much meaning something has over your life. I know it doesn't feel like it because sometimes it's the media or family or community groups that has told us that this thing has so much meaning, and if you don't have this thing, if you don't act like this, if you don't behave a certain way, whatever it might be, if that does not happen for you, then there's some value that is lowered because that meaning has not been fulfilled for you. But despite all of those voices, you are in control of your thoughts, you are in control of your life, and you get to decide how much meaning that thing has for your life. And this, I honestly feel like this applies to everything. When I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, this applies to so many areas of our lives. In the little ways, the day-to-day interactions, and the big things. So I'll start off by just giving 2 examples. And this is hard, by the way. This is really hard. It doesn't mean just because it's said that it's something that it's easy to do, because it's not. So I'll give you one example. Maybe you are playing a sport, like you have joined a local team, like a local volleyball team, and it's your first time playing, like it's your first time like maybe getting back into sports after a really long period. And you have, very competitive people on your team, and you find yourself missing the balls. Like it comes to you and you don't hit it a certain way and it goes out all the time. Then you find yourself feeling, the people around you are very competitive. They're asking you like, what's wrong? Like, why aren't you hitting it? And you can just see like the look of like disdain on their face. You start to determine your value based on the meaning of you missing those shots. So maybe you're saying missing those shots means like you're bad at volleyball, you're inadequate, you are deficient in some way, and then you start to feel insecure and you start to devalue yourself, or you start to place all this value on not scoring those shots. So in that way, there is meaning that you've given to that. There's just so much that is factored into not hitting the ball. You haven't practiced, and a lot of things that you do in life involves practicing over and over before you can get good at it. You might be nervous because you're playing on a team with these people that you don't know. Like, there's just so many factors, right? But you have chosen this specific meaning and you have ran with that meaning. So that's one example. Another example that is very common that we see is like certain milestones in life, like whether it is marriage or having children, or your career, getting into a certain program at school, or like finishing that program, or practicing that career. Could be like buying a place, like buying a home, finishing some kind of goal that you have. Sometimes the society around us, like our groups, our friend circles, our family, our community groups, place a lot of meaning on these milestones. And if we don't meet those milestones at a certain age or at a certain time, we start to feel bad because we've placed a lot of our own self-worth and value on meeting that milestone, and there's some meaning that we have ascribed to it that maybe we're not even aware of, but it's all of the voices around us that have pressured or impacted us to think that way. And so my advice here is you get to control how much meaning something has for your life. You are on your own path, you're on your own journey. Things are going to happen to you at specific times. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to look like your sister or your friends or your coworkers or the people at your church or the people, on your soccer team. It's not going to look like that. You are on your own journey, and things are going to happen at the time that they happen for you. Things are going to look a specific way for your life. So you get to control what something means to you, and you get to redefine and reconstruct meanings that have been handed down to you that have no relevance or productivity for your life. They're not doing anything for you to have those kinds of meanings. Another thing that I will say about this topic is that not everything has a deep and profound meaning. Not everything has a deep and profound meaning. So for example, someone like me, I can be quite sensitive, and I can overthink things that happen to me a lot, especially social interactions. And I remember one time I had a social encounter where I was visiting someone who is more or less an acquaintance, and I noticed that their behavior that day was very subdued, very quiet. They didn't seem very warm or receptive towards me. And for someone like me, who historically a people pleaser, historically an overthinker, when I notice social interactions are a little bit awkward or different, my mind goes in overdrive, and I think about why would they be behaving that way, and I put a lot of meaning towards their actions, like, oh, they must not like me. Did I do something wrong? I must have said something wrong. I start overthinking what could be going on. And this is where I will say not everything that happens needs to have a deep, profound meaning. For example, that person, that acquaintance, could have just been tired that day, going through their own thing, dealing with their own life. And then here I am having given this really deep meaning towards that person, their behavior, why they did or didn't do that thing. And then from there, it might be very easy for me to judge that person based on the way that they acted in that interaction going forward. And now I've given that meaning in that interaction, and now it's prolonging and going on and on and on, when it could have been something simple as to why they behaved the way they did. And anyway, if I'm not in the business of giving meaning to things that I don't need to, I don't have to decode what their behavior means anyway. I don't have to do that. I don't have to feel that that's something I'm responsible for, decoding people's emotional reactions or why they behave the way to me that they do. Which brings me to another point. You will never know the meaning of certain things that happen. So stop trying to uncover and decode and understand these meanings. So I've been in this situation a lot with my partner, where we're in a scenario where something happens that he does that I really don't understand. And it could be something really simple. It doesn't have to be something that was even a big deal, because I'm someone who likes to analyze and understand, what's going on, what happened, why are you behaving that way, why am I behaving that way? Because I'm someone who likes to figure things out, I can rack my brain in trying to understand this other human being. And honestly, that's energy that I could be using for my own life. I'm spending all of this time trying to figure out, why did he say that? Why did he act awkward in that situation? Why did X, Y, and Z happen? That is time and energy that I could be using to figure out my own problems. As you grow older, you have friends that just naturally drift away from you. And if you're someone like me who really puts a lot of stock in friendships and social interactions, sometimes you want to know why. There's one friend I have in mind that I have drifted away from after many, many years. And I don't feel like it was of my doing. And I still question, like, why did we drift apart? Like, sometimes they're even really good friendships. Like, there was like really good chemistry and connection in those friendships, and you kind of rack your brain over, like, what happened? Did I do something wrong? And you try and reach out, but they still don't communicate well with you, and you wonder. And again, you will never know the meaning behind why certain things happen, and you will ruin your mental atmosphere, your landscape, just by trying to decipher and figure it out. Another thing I realize is that you'll also sometimes ruin your relationships by overanalyzing everything and trying to figure out why X, Y, and Z did or didn't happen. One thing I understand is that meanings are practiced. So if you think about a meaning that we have in our society, like, what's a good one? Getting into a career by a certain age, or like having a family or having children by a certain age. Those meanings that you can find in certain communities, like achieving, being in your career, or having children, or being married by a certain age, it is of high value in certain circles or communities, and those meanings have been practiced over and over and over and over again by that group, by that community, by the society at large. And that's why they have so much power. And I want to encourage that it's really important to practice the meanings that you have for your own life. And it's not easy. It's hard. If you want to deconstruct or redefine what something means for your life, it's not going to be easy, because you're going to be fighting against the bigger powers or societal forces that are out there that are telling you something different. But you have to practice that meaning over and over and over again for your life. So that could be like letting something go. Like if somebody has said something and you're ruminating on it over and over and over again, and the reason why you're ruminating is because that thing that they have said has made you feel insecure. You can decide, like, okay, well, I'm gonna let it go. And you have to practice that letting go over and over and over again until your brain understands that that thing isn't meant to make you feel insecure, or you just don't, I guess, care anymore. Even as I have seen, like, in my 30s, that there's certain things, like I don't have kids, that kind of thing, and you might be around family members who want you to have that, and you may be influenced to feel like something is wrong with me, like I don't have this thing. And you kind of have to practice for yourself, like affirming or telling yourself what matters for your own life, the values, the direction, the path that matters for your own life, and practicing like, oh yeah, it's okay that I am not in this particular life stage. Just remembering the value that your life has had up to this point is really important. And like practicing that value and being thankful for it and having gratitude. You can reject what something means for your life. You get to choose. You get to have that power. Even if it doesn't feel like it, it's the inner self, the inner person is where you will practice those meanings for yourself. The last thing I will say here is that redefining meaning for your own life really inspires and encourages the people who are around you. As I get older, I've started looking to older people as like models and mentors for my own life, because this is a society, I feel, that is very much obsessed with youthfulness, and it favors the young in a way. And so I've started trying to look to older people as inspiration, as role models. And I've been really inspired by a lot of older people that I have looked to, just people who are bold and unapologetic, whose life may not fit some societal standard. Maybe they don't have kids, maybe they don't have a partner, maybe they're busy pursuing their own hobbies and goals, proud about how old they are and what they're doing, and they're in spaces that might be predominantly held by younger folk, but they are in those spaces in a proud way because they're doing what they love. I think as we are bold and we are courageous and we decide, no, this is the value, this is the meaning that I want to create for my life, it inspires the people around us, and it sets up something new for people to see, and then for people to then go ahead and feel encouraged to practice. My name is Imo, and this is my channel, In My Opinion. And if you are interested on the more on-the-fly takes like these, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And I would love to hear from you. Is there something in your life that you have given far too much meaning, whether it's something small or something big? How are you thinking you want to reevaluate that for yourself? Thank you for your support and for watching. Bye.